Tennis players require a high level of fitness to be successful. Discuss the suitability of using the fitness test shown below in order to assess the fitness of tennis players for their sport. And we're given three different fitness tests: the Illinois agility test, the hand grip dynamometer test, and the vertical jump test. So we need to think about how these tests are relevant in the sport of tennis. As always, we're going to split into three main paragraphs, each with a point, an explanation, and an evaluation. And hopefully, we've understood that our paragraphs can include, firstly, the Illinois agility test. The second paragraph can be about the hand grip dynamometer test. And the third paragraph can be about the vertical jump test. For our first paragraph, then, we can discuss the Illinois agility test and firstly define it. So we can say the Illinois agility test involves short sprints and turns through a designated course. It tests the component of fitness, agility. So we're just showing some knowledge of this fitness test. The Illinois agility test is suitable for testing the agility of a tennis player. This is because the short, sharp movements of the whole body closely replicate the movement that a tennis player requires during a match. So we're showing a bit of knowledge there of how this fitness test is important to tennis. For AO3, so for our evaluation, a tennis player will require agility when moving from side to side in order to play a shot, or when moving towards the net in order to play a volley. To make the Illinois agility test even more specific to the sport of tennis, a player could perform this test whilst holding their racket. This will closely simulate a match situation. So, as always, for AO3, we do need to think in a bit more detail and think outside the box a little bit. So, even though the Illinois agility test is really valid and important for a tennis player, can we think about how it can be more relevant? So if a player was holding a racket, it's going to be more specific to tennis. So it's showing some really good in-depth evaluation there. We can now go on to discussing the hand grip dynamometer test. So the hand grip dynamometer test involves gripping and squeezing a small device which will measure a performer's strength. So some really just showing some brief knowledge there within a quick sentence of this test. The hand grip dynamometer test is suitable for a tennis player as it closely simulates the grip that they will have whilst holding their racket. Hand and wrist strength will be measured. So I'm showing a bit of knowledge of tennis there and giving an example of why this test is important for a tennis player. For AO3, for our evaluation, I can go into a bit more detail of how this test links to tennis. So a tennis player requires good strength in order to play powerful shots, which will result in them winning points. However, the weakness of the hand grip test is that it only measures hand and wrist strength. A tennis player also requires strength in their upper and lower bodies, and they should also test strength or power in these areas. So once again, just like with the agility test, with the hand grip test, I'm again thinking about why it's good for a tennis player, which it is, but also how it could be better or why it's not perfect. And for our final paragraph, we can discuss the vertical jump. So the vertical jump test involves the performer jumping up as high as possible. This test measures power in the legs, and we could say particularly the quadriceps. For our AO2, we can make a link to tennis. So this test will be suitable to a tennis player as leg power is of high importance, particularly during a serve and also smash shots. So I've given some examples of my knowledge of tennis there. Playing powerful serves and shots are likely to result in more points won. For AO3, we're going to evaluate a little bit deeper. So although this test will be useful for tennis players, they will also need to test the power in their arms and upper body. It may be more beneficial to test the speed of their serve, as this will be a very specific test for their sport that they can then repeat after following a training program. So I'm showing some real knowledge there and showing the examiner that I can think about why this test is useful, but what are its weaknesses? And also, I'm going to offer an alternative test that might be even more relevant for the tennis player.